they were obviously well-built meads, and I'm sure for people who like that flavor, tasted awesome, I didn't like them. But I judged them based on their construction rather than on my personal taste. It's like, if I'd been judging David's mead, I would have judged it based on how it was put together as opposed to, I don't particularly care for this flavor. So, everybody's got their taste.
There's a lot of judges who really don't particularly care for certain flavors. Some people believe that mead should be sweet. I had a guy one time, I gave him a dry elderberry wine. He goes, no, I don't like it. It tastes too much like wine. And that was it. He shut it down. That was it. It was done.
Yeah, see, that's frustrating when that happens, though, because it's by definition it's going to be subjective. It's judging, but we should try to divorce ourselves as much as we possibly can. And nobody can do it 100%, but to, try to look behind your personal taste preferences into, is this well put together? Is it balanced? Does it fit the style guidelines, that you're judging under? And, those things. I mean, I'm not perfect, and I don't think anybody is, but I think it behooves us as judges, if we're judges, to strive for that, to attain as close to perfection as you can in that regard, I think that's really important because this can encourage or discourage somebody who might end up being a really talented, mead maker, winemaker, what have you. So I see it as kind of a sacred trust, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination the best judge out there, but it's to me it's really important to do it right as much as I can.
Well, when you make a lot, you take it in stride. Not everyone's going to like everything you make.
No, well, everybody's got something they don't like. There's nobody that likes everything. Yeah. I don't think. Well, okay, maybe there are some people, but I think they're probably rare. My daughter hates all kinds of seafood. Period. End of story. Not touching it. Don't care if it's fish. Don't care if it's shellfish. We don't care. She hates it. Won't touch it. Refuses to even consider it. I think that's illogical because I thought the same thing about squid until I tried it, and I really like it. So. But yeah, there's people that don't like stuff, but if you're judging things, then you need to get past that and into is it done right,
Yeah, that was something that I had to learn when I was trying to figure out when I wanted to get into making beer. I tasted a lot of different beers trying to figure out what I liked and what I didn't like about it. Mm-hmm. And even the ones that, I would never drink this again, I don't even want it in my mouth anymore, but I can pick out one or two things about it that I like.
Yeah.
Even if I don't want to even swallow this one,
Well, and that was something, and Bob, I don't know how it was in the competition that your Ghost Pepper won in, but one of the things that they do with the Mazer Cup that I've always thought was really amazing, and Glenn and Danny put this into place and made it an ironclad rule, was there's a minimum number of points you have to give. You have to find the positive things and the encouraging things. So I noticed that this is blah, and here's how you can improve upon that in future, as opposed to, oh my God, this tastes like ass. Is not what you want to say.
You know what? In all fairness, the Mazer Cup gets great judges. When you enter some of these little, smaller competitions that are very regional, sometimes they have a problem getting judges.
Oh, yeah, totally. And it depends on where you're at, too. It changes.
Right. We've all been to the contest where they look at the stewards and goes, who wants to judge today?
Yeah. I've been to those, yeah.
And they go, okay, go over there to the smoked beer, and you're going to judge smoked beers. And then, okay, we need one more guy. Okay, you're going to specialty. And, let's be honest, they never judged before. The Mazer Cup is lucky that they get all the judges. People line up to judge. Some of the smaller competitions, they don't have that luxury.
Well, they don't quite line up. We have to do a little bit of work to, to get them coming in. But the fact that it's a national competition doesn't hurt. It does have a certain amount of cachet for that, and it being in Colorado, where the density of beer and wine and mead geeks on the ground is thicker than possibly any other place in the country. You can't swing a cat without hitting somebody who's into craft things, But, so that doesn't hurt either. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that the bigger the competition, the more broad the competition, certainly you're going to pull you're going to pull a larger and more varied group of judges that, is going to give you a different strain. But there's been judges that have been in the Mazer Cup that aren't there anymore. Because they were not brought back because they violated there's a set of rules that they line out to all of us judges at the beginning, and you don't follow those rules, then you don't get to play. And one of the things that Ken said this the first year, Ken Schramm got up there, and this is and it's become kind of standard operating procedure now for the judges, and I love it. He says, "You do not get to keep all the points you take away from people when you die."
Nice.
And that saying, he said that the first year, that has actually become like part of the rules. It's actually written down and in the rules and attributed to Ken. So
they don't want to. When somebody submits something for a competition, they don't want to know whether or not you personally like it. They want to know how well they made it.
Was it good? Yeah. Was it well done? That's all that really matters. So, okay, peppers, Bob. You did a ghost pepper. What other kinds of peppers have you made meads from?
7-pot Douglas peppers, bubblegum peppers, Reaper peppers.
Reapers? Oh, God, you're brave.
It's not about, I know, but this is where I talk about the sweetness and the heat have to balance.
Well, just being in the same room with the Reaper pepper is dangerous. So.
No, nobody wants to drink lava.
No, nobody does. And we've had a few of those at the Mazer Cup.
Well, I'm sure, and I'm sure they didn't fare very well.
No, they did not. The balanced ones, as you say, you want them to be balanced. That's the point. And the interesting thing is, and this is what people don't. Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit. Obviously, balance is what you want to attain. So here we are working with a ghost pepper or a Reaper pepper, two of the hottest peppers on the planet. How do you achieve that balance? What do you end up having to do? And I'm sure, because there's a lot of pepperheads out there that have not gone to this point yet. There's a lot of jalapeno meads, there's a lot of chipotle meads, but not all that many people are digging into the more aggressive peppers.
Well, you just got to use less of the pepper. And you know what? Don't be afraid to go back 3-4 times and re-add a sliver, a little piece, because that balance is such a fine thing.
Yeah.
As soon as you go over it, you can always blend back another mead to it.
So are you starting out with like one pepper or a half a pepper or something like that in a 5-gallon batch?
5 gallon. But the peppers go so far either way. Like you can pick up a ghost pepper that's 500,000 capsaicin units, and the next one you pick up is 900,000.
Yeah, true.
So you're talking that's double the heat. So if you only start off with half a pepper and 5 gallons, and you see where you end up with. I grow them at my house. I have a bag of them in my freezer. And, when I brewed at Sergio, I brought the peppers that I grew out of my garden over to Sergio to do it in Melavino when he made the ghost pepper Melavino.
Oh, okay.
So it was a lot harder doing it in a big tank where you could only had to add so many ghost peppers and then go back and taste it and figure out how much you're going to add.
Mm. Yeah. I can imagine that would be a little bit harder. That's really... So how long were you in your 5-gallon batches? How long were you... I'm assuming you were doing 5-gallon batches anyway. How long were you leaving them on the pepper or the pepper in the mead?
I would just taste them every couple of days.
Okay.
If they were ready in 3 days, then I'd take it out. It's simple as that.
Do you notice...
It's like Coke.
Do you notice it developing further after the pepper is removed, or does it pretty much stop once you take it out?
No, not really. And actually, they stay hot. I've had guys that I've given bottles to when I first made them, and they've had them 2 or 3 years later, and they say they're still hot.
That is interesting. I'm not a pepperhead myself, so I have not really played with pepper meads at all, but I've seen a lot of different ones, in judging at the Mazer Cup and just in the opportunities to drink them at various, events. And
what I like about the pepper meads that I do is that you get the sweetness, the heat up front, and after 30 seconds it fades and it's done.
Huh.
It's not a lingering thing where, oh my God, I have to have something else.
Can somebody give me a big glass of milk now?
My face is burning off, oh God.
I'm melting.
I've had a couple of those where people give them to you and they're waiting for your reaction. They're like, oh, you made the ghost pepper for me. You could drink this. and you have it, and you're like, yeah, that's really not. I can take the heat, but this is really not what I'm looking for.
Yeah. There was Mike Fall, Rabbit's Foot. He got a bag of ghost peppers. A buddy of his gave them to him, and he's got an award-winning sweet mead, Malia. It's one of his. It's named after his wife, but it's one of his main meads in his portfolio, and it's a big sweet mead, lots of mouthfeel, lots of sweetness, and very well balanced. It's won multiple medals in various competitions, national and international. But I realized now, I didn't know it at the time. I realized now that as a joke, these are 500 ml tall, skinny bottles. Okay, and he took and put an entire ghost pepper in each bottle for however many. I think he said he had 70 ghost peppers or something. So he did 70 bottles of Malia and dropped an entire ghost pepper and left it in there like a worm in a tequila bottle. And he brought some of these to UC Davis when they did their first Mead teaching course, and so they were having like a little kind of a little soiree after the classes were over. We all got together at the hotel, and they'd rented like a tent, and had like a spread put out and everything. And so we're all milling about, and lots of people have mead, and they're going, "Here, try this." And so Mike comes along with this bottle. "Here, try this." I like touched my tongue to it, and my whole face just slid right off. It was just like, oh my god! I was getting him right back. It's like, that was really great. Gotta go.
No, I really like the hot peppers.
Yeah, I see. I can't handle them. They don't. I can't deal with it. But it was just really interesting because not knowing. I don't eat the hotter peppers, so I don't really have a relational point for. How much of a pepper would go into a batch. So
do have different tastes.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people don't get. There are distinct tastes to the peppers when you get to the super hots.
Okay. See, I'm like so busy having my face melt off that I don't notice. So. I'm a big fan. I mean, I'm a lightweight when it comes to the peppers, obviously, but I'm a big fan of chipotle. The chipotle flavor, I just adore that. And there was a chipotle mead at the Mazer Cup several years ago that I believe it took Best in Show. And it was the first year that Capsicum Ale took Best in Show. So it was really cool to have that happen. Yeah, it was so good. Oh my God, it was amazing. Smoky, and the heat was there, but it was so well balanced that you didn't care. You were just too busy enjoying it. It was just, and it wasn't, obviously from a pepperhead perspective, that's like, yeah, right, lightweight you. But, for me.
It's not about that. We talked about this before, and this is about balance and the judging and seeing what the structure of the meat is.
Mm-hmm. This was a beautiful mead. It was like a painting, yeah. But I mean, it was just the whole flavor profile was so stunningly interesting. That's what was so cool about it. It was very complex and interesting, and I've been in love with the concept of Chipotle ever since. I mean, I've had Chipotle chips, yada yada, and all that kind of thing, but this was the first time I'd seen that flavor integrated into a beverage, and it was just really cool for me.
Yeah, it shouldn't be about blowing your head off.
No.
Because then you're not really,
Well, there are those that it is about that. I mean, there's one guy on the Mazer Cup staff who he's a total pepperhead, and he likes to make super hot, super spicy meads, but that's what he likes.
Yeah.
It's what he likes. The
only thing that makes me think is it's so easy to do that because you could basically put some ghost peppers in any mead, whether it's good or not, and then a month later it'll just blow your head off and you won't know.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to taste the mead, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, these meads were... I don't want to say they're balanced because it would take a hell of a lot of sweetness to balance out, like super, if you really went full bore with, say, ghost pepper. But
that's the whole point. You can only use a little part of it.
Yeah, and I don't know how, I don't know what all he used, but I mean, you could definitely, my problem is that my tongue shorts out beyond a certain Scoville limit. It just goes, and I can't taste anything anymore. So it's hard for me to judge how balanced that is because I get to that burnout point so fast, But that's just...
Considering it's an analgesic, probably eventually everybody's tongue shorts out because it just,
But yeah,
They-
it does have a numbing agent in it. Yeah, that's a self-defense mechanism to keep you from burning your brains out, I think. But have you ever tried, Bob? Have you ever tried peppers and fruit in the same mead?